All right. Hey, welcome to the fourth episode of the podcast Building Kansas City. I'm here with Zach Molzer with Molzer Development. So, Zach, let's just get into it. I know very little about you, but everybody I've talked to in this industry down here says you got to get Zach on.
I've tried my hardest to make it my head waves. That's the
So,
goal.
let's just kind of start with who you are, what you do, and what you're involved with.
Yeah. So born and raised here in Kansas City. Went to Olathe Northwest for high school for my undergrad, or high school, and then went to University of Nebraska for my undergrad. Go Big Red.
Go
like
Huskers.
Like I was telling you in the hallway, I was born into the poverty of being a Nebraska sports fan, which has been exhilarating to say the least over the past 2 decades.
It's been hard to take. Should I say, it's been hard to take shit from Kansas and Missouri fans because we were such a powerhouse when I was growing up in Nebraska, and now I have to eat the last 20 years.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I'm a KU and Nebraska fan. Grew up going to KU games and all that too. I don't hate K-State or anyone. I don't like Mizzou and I don't like Iowa. That's pretty much it. But I do like Ben Becker, so that's fine.
We just lost half of our podcast audience, but we're good to go.
That's all right. It's fine. See, the good part is like no one can be mad or not like Nebraska. It's like they should feel bad.
Well, when we were good, it was much better for the conferences for sure.
It was
competition.
It's Nebraska being good is a staple of college football. I mean, it just is. And so when I was a student there, funny enough, we won 12 games in my 3 years. That is less than what we won in like every year during the 90s.
When did you graduate there?
2022.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So went to Nebraska and then moved back down to Kansas City. Knew I loved real estate, knew I wanted to get into that. So started working with a developer here in Kansas City, smaller shop. Most of our projects were down in Tulsa. Was down there kind of throwing into the fire type vibe of figure it out, doing acquisitions, capital raising, project management, et cetera. Like I said, all of our projects were down in Tulsa, Wichita. So I was down there 20 days a month doing that. Realized, hey, I'm young, I've got nothing to lose, and I think I can figure it out. So let's go out and start my own firm and see what happens. So left, then started my own firm in March, Molzer Development, and the Aladdin kind of fell into the lap, and didn't obviously plan on starting with a project of this magnitude, but really excited. So Molzer Development, it's me bringing on a couple other people by the end of this year. I've got some partners out of Milwaukee, Freehill Capital that we're partnering with on, and we're converting the Aladdin into apartments. For those who don't know, the Aladdin is a historical landmark, downtown Kansas City, 12th and Wyandotte, built in 1925. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I want to get into that certainly because those kind of projects interest me. But so going back to school, so did you grow up in the building development industry?
No,
or is
not
this
at all.
something you just go to school and all of a sudden this is what I want to do?
Yeah, so I grew up. My dad's an entrepreneur. My stepdad's an entrepreneur. I grew up in a very entrepreneur-minded household. I learned more in the first 18 years of my life prior to college than I did in college. That's no knock against what they teach you at Nebraska, but it just having two different father figures that have built their own company and all of that, getting to watch them on the everyday is, I think, more important than anything. The best way to learn is just to do it. So growing up in that sense was great. In college, my sophomore year, I had a startup that was a management membership platform to connect athletes and donors together. We exited that to Open Doors. And after that, I moved into this apartment up in Lincoln that was an old adaptive reuse historic tax credit building. And it was gorgeous and it was awesome. And I loved living there. And I was like, this is weird. You shouldn't love living in an apartment, right? Because you're renting, you're not building equity.
Right.
But I loved living there. And I swear, if I was still in Lincoln, I would be living there 100%. And I was like, that was like the flip of if I can build that on a larger scale, especially in my own city, a place where people don't want to leave, where they love where they live. It doesn't feel like an apartment. It feels like a community and it feels like a home. If I can do that on a mass scale, then not only can I help change my city and solve a housing problem, but I can obviously make financial resources doing so.
Well, what a great idea too, because obviously it's getting harder and harder for young people to buy a house.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thesis of what we're doing at the Aladdin is that missing middle. I mean it's crazy. I mean you graduate college, you're making $55,000 to $70,000 a year. Your options are live at home, which most kids don't want to do. Live with a roommate
or shouldn't.
Yeah, live with a roommate. So split a 2-bed, 2-bath, and pay $1,100, $1,200 a piece. Or go out and live on your own in an apartment somewhere, and you're spending $1,800 plus a month in rent to live downtown. That's crazy. So fitting that missing middle is kind of what we're we're trying to solve for with the Aladdin and a plethora of other projects.
Yeah, I think the theme in our last 4 podcasts have been, that American dream of owning a house is fizzling away for the younger generation.
For sure. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, interest rates where they are. I saw the 5-year treasuries down today, which is very good. But yeah, I mean, it's expensive to own a home, maintain a home, but more importantly, people can afford the mortgages for home right now. Like, not necessarily my demographic of my age, but let's say you're 27, 28, they can afford the mortgage. They just don't have enough money saved up for the down payment. And so it takes, 10, 12, 15 years to do so. And there's only so much time you have, right? Yeah. It's not like back in the 80s and 90s where your parents were, we'll just buy a house and, rent out the other side and flip it, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't work like that anymore.
So I'm new to this Casey area as well. I'm from Omaha.
Yep.
So give me a little background on the Aladdin.
Yeah, so the Aladdin built in 1925. When it was built, it was the tallest building in Kansas City for a short stint, a few months. It is 16 stories, and it's got a flagpole on the top of the building, which we'll hopefully be able to bring that back, which will be nice. Opened up as a hotel. It was 256 rooms, and if you've been there, it's mind-boggling how they fit 256 rooms in that place. Average square foot of the hotel room would have been about 120 square feet. Gorgeous marble floors in the lobby. Unbelievable building right across from Barney House Plaza. Ownership bought it in 2006, did a full gut rehab. COVID killed it. Obviously COVID killed a lot of things, and one of them was the Aladdin. So it's been sat vacant for 4 years, needing a new life. When we officially closed on it, 80% of the units, the hotel rooms, doors locked, beds made, towels folded on the bed. It's a time capsule. It was actually kind of spooky.
That's fascinating.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. Soap still sitting in the showers, like ready to go. Coffee maker, like ready with the Keurig pods.
But all vacant.
Yeah, completely vacant.
Wow.
Yeah. Some vagrants have gotten in over the years, obviously, but yeah, completely vacant. It's pretty crazy.
So, okay, first project. This is a big project. What led you to this being, let's go for it?
Yeah. I think the biggest part was if being able to raise outside capital is one thing. And, I've always learned that capital comes if the right deal comes, and deals come if the right capital comes. And this was just an opportunity to buy a building and acquire it significantly below A, replacement cost, but B, just the overall value. So there was value on the buy, right? That was the first part. Is there's value on the buy. Okay, it's kind of hard to mess up in the sense of you have a plethora of different options, right? The easier pitch though for it was what we're buying it for, what the area is being redeveloped into. There's so much growth in downtown Kansas City. Obviously, there's risk with any investment, but a lot of risks have been mitigated with the condition of the building being so good, historic tax credits, city approvals and city support, and just the location, overall scope of the building. Like I said, we weren't planning on starting with a project of this size and magnitude, but the support from the city, investors, everyone has been unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy. So as far as buildings go, built back then when it was, so is there a lot of studies for lead abatement or asbestos stuff you had to worry about there?
Yeah, some of the bigger concerns going into the project, like before we closed on it, was there's two things that would have made us walk away, right? That would have been A, structural integrity. So if the building's going to fall down, that would have been bad.
Pretty sound.
It is unbelievable. It's an unbelievable shape. It's no structural problems whatsoever. It is crazy. It's just a true testament how we don't build buildings like that anymore. It's unbelievable. That and then all the abatement stuff. In 2006 and 1986, they both times the building went under full gut rehabs. All of it was encapsulated and remediated, so none of the building's hot. So that was another huge part to make it feasible. Even if it was hot, we would have gone after different incentives, Brownsfield, et cetera, to remediate all that. But those are the two biggest things. They're like, okay, that'll play ball.
So a lot of this, I'm hoping, I imagine, a building being built in that time period, you're going to try to keep as much stuff original as you can.
Correct. Yeah. So we're going after historic tax credits. We have our part 1, and then we'll be spending our part 2. If you're not familiar with historic tax credits, it's a 3-part structure where the first part is, okay, what's historic about the building? What does the scope look like? It's called the areas of historical significance. What they, as SHPO, National Park Service up in DC, they deem, okay, this is the area that's specific to the building that needs to be maintained and why it's historically significant. So for the Aladdin, it is the exterior facade. It's got, I mean, gorgeous, gorgeous masonry work throughout the whole thing. Goat heads that wrap around the side of the building, dragons. I mean, just why not? Right? Back then they were just like, oh, let's put a goat head up here. Let's be cool.
I mean, those older buildings have a lot of stuff on it.
Yeah.
Like, what were they thinking?
Yeah, it's crazy. And then the lobby, marble floors, all original, marble columns. The mezzanine that wraps around that second floor, that's all got to stay for historic tax credits. And then the 16th floor ballroom has to maintain open configuration, which is obviously a really, really cool space that we'll be transforming. Outside of that, though, because a lot of work was done in 1986 and 06, there's not a lot that's still historically significant, which is great from a redevelopment standpoint of us being able to go through and breathe a whole new life into the building.
So, in terms of the rooms, how big are we planning to go for rooms?
Yeah, so I mean,
apartments?
we're gutting out floor 2 to 15 in a sense. I don't want to say like gutting out, but in a sense, I mean, it'll be all new HVAC, plumbing, electrical, fire suppression, walls, windows, elevators, doors. I mean, everything. Average square foot of the apartment units will be 550 on average. They'll be really, really sweet units.
Particular demographic you're going after, or
22 to 28-year-old individuals that want to live, work, and play downtown Kansas City, that want to live by themselves, that can afford to live by themselves, but also can't afford to pay $2,000 a month in rent. That missing middle of, like I said, you're making $55,000 to $70,000 a year. You want to live, work, and play downtown, but you're kind of priced out and live in a really, really, really awesome historic building with all the amenities that you can imagine, and right across the street from Barney House Plaza being huge, the city's new $120 million redevelopment.
I mean, living downtown is cool, but living in a building, for me anyway, that old and historic, no substitute.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and that's a demographic in its own, right? I mean, it's not like we're going to be competing with Three Light. I mean, that's not the vibe. That's not the type of person that's going to live there from a renter standpoint and cost, but also what they look for in a building, right? You're looking at all these other different historic buildings downtown. I always tell people what we're going to be doing at the Aladdin. There's not going to be a comp for it. We're gonna do it right in terms of what we're going to put into it, the methodical units, the design. We have all that mapped out, and it's going to be pretty cool.
That is cool. I'm glad you put some thought into each of those rooms and what's going to happen to that place.
100%.
So, okay, large project. What's prior to this? What led you to this? Some of the projects.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was working on working for a group down in Tulsa.
Yeah.
We did 2 different projects while I was down there. One was an independent living conversion to apartments. The other one was also a historic tax credit adaptive reuse project in downtown Tulsa. Again, like I said, just kind of throw you in the fire type vibe, and it was just I got to learn everything. The whole goal was obviously to get 10 years of experience in 3, and jump out and figure it out on your own. And that was that's what led me to do it.
And it sounds like you've done that.
Yeah, at least I've tried. And again, it takes a village. Surrounding yourself with people that are a lot smarter than you and that know what they're doing. That's what's important. Being a developer, it's a lot of risk, but if it's not as much if you have a group of people behind you between your architects, your general contractor, fire suppression, all your subs, your MEP, your partners, your limited partners, everyone involved in the whole project from start to finish knows what they're doing, has done a ton of projects like this, and they're the gray hair in the room. You're the one that's just pointing the fingers and try to figure it out.
Just every step's a learning moment.
Exactly.
So I was going to ask you, staffing-wise, at Molzer's, you have.
I have 2 quote unquote interns right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, new company. We're not bringing in any revenue. In fact, we're losing about a lot a month because we have a vacant building, which is exhilarating to say the least. But yeah, I mean, I've always learned to hire pre-rev just because once you start making money and then you hire, you're not growing fast enough. And obviously what I want to do at Molzer Development and beyond is to grow something and build Kansas City and beyond in a very unique way. So I understand that. So I mean, like I said, in the next probably 6 months, I'll bring on at least a couple people to help out with acquisitions, project management, et cetera, especially as we have this and a couple other projects we're working on.
Well, I love that you're gutsy enough to try this.
Yeah. I mean, I always tell people it's a couple things. A, no fear failure. You just can't be scared. Every moment is a learning moment. So you just got to figure it out. And I think what the last 2 parts I'll touch on that are the most important is confidence and passion. Those are the 2 biggest things. Confidence, passion. I have uber confidence that this project's going to work and it's going to be very successful. And the passion that I have behind this and every other thing I want to do is, I think that speaks volume, whether that be for raising funds from investors or just in the project in general. Passion goes a long, long way.
Well, it feels like just meeting you here this morning that you going about 90 miles an hour inside your brain. So is that what it's like?
Oh yeah. So I have a newsletter I post every couple of weeks, and I posted my third edition 2 days ago, and I was like, here's a day in the life of Zach, and it's a picture I'll have to show you later of me herding cats. So
I saw it.
Yeah, and it's like that's pretty much it. It's actually, I walked in here, I was like, hey Sam, do you have a phone charger? It's what, 11:15. My phone's at 5%. So nice. that tells you, yeah, it's been pretty busy.
I'm going to just read to the audience. So the one thing I liked about your newsletter says, this isn't your typical newsletter aiming solely to attract investors or inflate social media stats. Instead, it's a beacon of transparent education. I'm here to share what I see, what I'm up to, and my unfiltered journey as a young developer here in Kansas City. That really struck the chord with me. So maybe speak to that a little bit and what.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas City has a lot of really, really great developers, and I think that one thing that's kind of missing is the transparency of let's show the good, the bad, the ugly, and the fun, right? Like, I am young. I'm not going to shy away from that, whether I'm at different bank meetings or working with the subcontractors, everything like that. Like, I'm young, so like let's go through the whole process and show everyone what it's like. There's a shortage of developers. There's a shortage of housing. We need more, and the best way to show people that it's possible and that you can do it is just be transparent. When there's a problem and we have someone break into the building, it's like, damn it, someone broke into the building. That sucks. Or when there's something good where we find 12,000 amps of electrical in the building, it's like, yes, that's very good. Just being transparent as much as you can, right? There's certain things obviously you can't talk about and say because you want to under promise, over deliver. Don't get me wrong, but going through the whole process and showing everyone what it's like on a day-to-day is, I think, really important. So, that's what I wanted to kind of embody with Molzer Development is to, especially with the newsletter and everything else I'm doing, is to show people what it's like from start to finish, the good, the ugly, all of it.
I mean, I love the transparency.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you can't be too transparent, right. But you can be authentic is the different part.
Yeah. Well, I love the herding cats reference.
Yeah.
Even our morning here was massively chaotic and.
It's my girlfriend and I have a joke where like if I get something on my shirt, like I'm always just clumsy and get something on. She's like, well, that means you had a good day, and I was like, it's accurate. That means if I don't walk out of the Aladdin sweating or doing something, I'm doing something wrong, right? So always moving. People ask me, well, so what does a day in life look like? I'm like, dude, it is so different every day. Every day is different.
Well, and it's exciting to problem solve.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Yeah. I mean, that's literally what developers do is you're in charge of all the problems. I was on vacation over the 4th of July, and I told my girlfriend, hey, like, I'm going to try not to be on my phone. Obviously, we're on vacation, all that. And literally, as we get to KCI Airport, I'm getting a bunch of calls. She's like, I thought you were going to work. I was like, the people that are calling me know that I'm going on vacation. If they're calling me, there's something wrong. So, like, I'm going to answer this phone call. And that's just what it is. There's no such thing as days in the week anymore. It's all just one big day.
Well, what's the stage of the Aladdin right now? You said you're coming out of there. So.
Yeah. So obviously there's 193 rooms there currently of beds, mattresses, desks, lamps, TVs, coffee makers, trash. I mean, everything you can imagine. Like I said, it was a time capsule. So we're in the process right now of getting rid of all of it. We're removing all of it. We have liquidators engaged that are, load by load, just taking everything out of the building, taking it to the warehouse and selling, donating, whatever with it. So that process started once we closed, and ideally, it's done in the next 30 days, but probably not. There's a lot of stuff there.
That's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. A lot. Most of it is of absolutely no value too. So that's great. But yeah, getting rid of all of that, and then obviously going through the process with historic tax credits, lining up financing, different incentive structures, working with the city, and the whole 9 yards to gear up for construction.
Well, you'll have to keep in touch with us and let us know if you're going through the building and something surprises you guys and comes up. I would imagine in a building that old, there might be a back room somewhere.
Oh, for sure.
Something's tucked away that's like, wow, this is a really cool piece of history.
Yeah, there's got to be. I mean, somewhere. We're excited to be able to start demo and start open up some walls. Obviously, once we have our development closing and all of that, and it will be cool to hopefully find only good things. That would be the goal.
Yeah,
is find only good things.
You have a general then engaged?
Yes.
Oh,
yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
So your company, not a negative, but maybe some cons of what you didn't see starting your own business.
I mean, there's no I would say there's no negatives. I mean, I've done this before of starting my own firm and then exiting out, and that was, I mean, obviously a little different than what I'm doing now because now this is the longevity of it. But there's challenges in anything you do. I mean, I obviously love the flexibilities. I get to make my own schedule in a sense. It's a lot busier. My handicap's gotten a lot worse since I started.
Which was?
God, I mean, I started when I first started Molzer Development. I think I was like a 2.3, and I'm at like a 5 now.
Nice.
When I do play, I'm not good because I play now maybe once a week.
Well, there's your negative.
Yeah, that's a pretty big negative if you ask me. But outside of that, I mean, outside of just the phone calls you get and problem solving every day, I love what I do. I mean, I love it. I have no regrets. I love it. It's so much fun.
Well, you have to be. I mean, that passion to make a business go. You know, you got to be engaged and passionate.
Yeah.
Get in the weeds every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they call it micromanaging sometimes, but I like to think of it more as just, no, I'm just managing the situation.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I said, it takes a village. There's no micromanaging. It's, hey, you do your own thing. I do my own thing. I'm going to obviously oversee everything, make sure everything's fine and dandy, but we're all incentivized and aligned to the common goal of getting the project done.
So I would imagine with a project this large, takes up a lot of your time. Is there room to even think what the future looks like?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, daily. I mean, we've got 3 other projects that me and my partners are slowly chugging along and working on behind the scenes to determine feasibility and all of that. You know, I want to grow 2 different facets of the ground up construction, development, adaptive reuse, but also stabilized deals. A lot of developers end up going bankrupt or not succeeding because all of their eggs are in one basket, and that basket happens to not produce any revenue for 3 years. I mean, if you're doing a ground up construction from the entitlement process to going through construction to lease up, 3 years, and that's probably pretty aggressive too in terms of not making any money in that time frame. So I want to grow another facet of, for every one development project, we're trying to buy stabilized value add multifamily deals that are cash flowing day one, that we can add immense value, a different scope. Obviously, they're quote unquote easier in a different way. They're harder in a different way. But growing that side of the business too. Obviously, right now, you talk to anyone, it's pretty hard to find a deal. They just don't exist right now. The gap between buyers and sellers is crazy. You know, sellers still want 2021 pricing, and interest rates are double what they were then. So still trying to find those. We've got a couple different leads and stuff out there. Always, I mean, I look at probably 30 deals a week, trying to find the next opportunity, and still yet to find the next one. But we've got a couple in the pipeline that we're feeling pretty optimistic about right now.
That's something coming in to generate revenue.
Yeah.
Things flowing.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, because I mean, if you have projects like that, it can feed the bigger one, the sexy ones, to say the least. You know, like development is sexy. Buying stabilized value add deals is not sexy, but that's what puts food on the table and allows you to do those bigger projects. You know, if you look at bigger developers, the biggest developers, most successful developers have that same thesis of, yeah, we're going to build towers, don't get me wrong, but we're also trying to find 1980s, 1990s garden-style multifamily projects that are not sexy. They're nothing special, but it's spitting out a return for investors. They're 2 different buckets too, as well, as from a capital raising standpoint. You know, some investors are like, hey, I want something that gives me a 7% coupon, you know, once a month, and it's a cash flowing producing asset. The upside is limited in the sense of, you're not betting on forced depreciation a ton. You're not, nothing like that, but more so from the tax benefit standpoints and it being a lower risk profile deal versus a ground up or adaptive reuse, where it's more risk because obviously there's more construction involved and all of that, but the upside is significantly higher, or at least should be, if you're doing it right, significantly higher doing those types of projects.
Right. Well, because I'm ignorant of the situation, interested in like funding of a building.
Yeah.
Like,
so
is it just a pitch to the bank? Is it a pitch to investors?
it's a pitch to everyone. I mean, so like the structure for like the Aladdin is a mix between historic tax credits, a senior bank loan, and then capital, LPs, GPs, whatever that may be, but just investor capital. So the Aladdin, I mean, won't get into the specifics of the total deal size and structure, but yeah, it's a mix between those 3. Also with different incentives that you might need to make it work, whether that be abatement, a TIF, et cetera. There's a bunch of different ways to finance things. PACE financing can work. CBDG funds can work. There's a plethora of different ways to skin the cat. Every project is very, 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 very different.
Well, I got to believe it's pretty exciting though to go in and make those pitches and
For sure.
maybe grab that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's crazy. We've been meeting with banks over the past 2 months or so, and the feedback has been really, really good. I mean, it's nice to know that when you do have a really good project, the banks they do like that. There's not a lot of them out there right now, but the ones that do work, they can get really excited for.
Well, even myself being new to this area, I just feel like Kansas City's ready for this like explosion.
It is. It's unbelievable. I mean,
It's just a great city.
my newsletter I posted yesterday was talking about all things Kansas City of different developments. I actually just got done working on a big behind the scenes project I have a map of every single development, not just multifamily, but every development within downtown corridor. So the River Market, Berkeley Riverfront, West Bottoms, Crossroads, the downtown inner loop. I have a map that shows every single development that's done and completed, proposed, or under construction. And there's over $7 billion of redevelopments and investments going in just in that downtown area alone.
I was reading through that. Yeah, there's a lot of cool projects coming up.
Oh, there's tons. I mean, it's crazy. Kansas City's, the World Cup's going to be massive for this city in terms of an influx, I think, in population and growth. But I don't like comparing us to other cities of like, oh, we're the next Denver, or we're the next Dallas Fort Worth. But my favorite quote ever is from Roy McIlroy. He just got done winning. God, it was the last time he won a major. It was 2014, and the person interviewing him said, "Well, how does it feel to be the next Tiger Woods?" And he goes, "I don't want to be the next Tiger Woods. I want to be the first Roy McIlroy." And I was like, "That's powerful." So it's like I don't want to be the next Block. I don't want to be I want to be the first Molzer Development. And the same thing for Kansas City. I think is we don't want to be the next Nashville, whatever. We want to be the first Kansas City.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of room to grow, a lot of things that still need to happen, and ideas tossed around there and ways to incentivize different things and make it a more urban and dense area. But I think we're headed in the right direction.
Well, I think developers know this, but the swing of revenue that comes into a city, much like Omaha brings in the College World Series, $50 million swing in 10 days for the city.
Yep.
Bringing in these events like the World Cup it's just massive for the city.
It's huge. I don't think people understand the magnitude of what's going to happen during the World Cup, and I could talk about it, but it still won't be grasped until it happens. It's going to be pretty crazy.
Well, even the minor shift in what Taylor Swift brought in when she came to town.
Crazy. 100%. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, the
So
T Swift
something like-
factor.
yeah.
I mean, it's also something to be said about the success Kansas City sport teams are having. I mean, you can't shy away from that. With the Chiefs going back to back and hopefully three-peat. The Royals being pretty darn good this year. Bobby Witt. I mean, I'd argue we have literally the two best athletes at their respective sports in the world, with Patrick Mahomes and Bobby Witt Jr. And that speaks volume.
Possibly another very exciting year.
Yeah.
Kansas City football.
Yes, I agree. I'm cross my fingers. I think we can do it. I mean, if the league couldn't take us out last year when we weren't that good, I can't imagine what it's going to look like when you just gave Patrick Mahomes Xavier Worthy. So,
well, and with Andy Reid at the helm, it's just fun to watch.
he's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It puts it all together.
It does. Yeah, I mean, they are a dynasty. People might not like it, but we are.
Well, that's just how it becomes, right? Everybody even might be a casual fan, but when they become so good, obviously there's haters out there. That's just the way it works. Yankees.
It's like, guys,
Patriots,
I grew up watching Matt Castle try to play football. I wasn't really playing football. He was trying to play football. So, like, yeah, I'm going to rub it in and be really excited that I'm watching Chiefs that actually win games now.
Absolutely.
Matt Castle, God, I remember when Alex Smith lost to the Colts in the playoffs a couple years ago before Patrick Mahomes, and it was like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. I mean, just little things like that. So I'm okay with us being the villains now. That sits very well with me.
It's so much. The city's so much fun.
Oh, it's exhilarating. I mean, there's just a buzz downtown, and the whole city with the Royals, the Chiefs. There's just a big buzz. I was at the Royals game on Friday. I wanted to go get a Patrick Mahomes bobblehead, right? And we're playing the Cubs. And I get there an hour early because I was like, hey, I'm gonna, there's only first 15,000 get a bobblehead. The line to get into the Royals game was an hour. I swear. I looped around everywhere. It was crazy. I didn't get a bobblehead. I did get a bobblehead. So the guy sitting next to me, I was like, hey, dude, I'll give you $20 for bobblehead. He's like, go away. I was like, how about 50? He was like, all right, fine. So I did get a bobblehead. By the way, they're trading on eBay for 150 now. So I did get a good deal. But yeah, like, I don't think it was sold out. It was 37,000 people at that game. I don't think all 37,000 went purely for the bobblehead, but the fact that it felt like it was back in 2014, 2015 when we won the World Series. Like, I was at all those games and it was unbelievable. It's cool to see a game in the middle of July have that much buzz, that much excitement, and that full. It was like, holy cow! It takes me back a decade to when we were really, really good.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Monday mornings at work is so much different when the Chiefs win on Sunday than when they lose.
Well, okay, I'll give you a better example. I always tell people, I'm always depressed on Saturdays because I have to watch Nebraska play, and they find new ways to lose every week.
Yeah.
Hopefully that changes this year. I think it will. But I watch Nebraska Saturday, and I get sad, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then the next day I wake up, and then I get to watch Patrick Mahomes play football, which is like, okay, at least I get that. And then they win. And Monday, I'm happy the Chiefs won. I'm still sad about Nebraska. Tuesday, I'm getting a little better. Wednesday, I'm feeling pretty good. And Thursday, I think Nebraska's going to win the national championship. Yeah. So it's just
That's a true fan, Zach.
yeah, it's an ongoing cycle.
We're just going to do it this year.
Yeah. This is the year. No, I think Nebraska can put together 8 wins this year. Last year I called it. I thought we'd win 5. We won 5. I didn't think it'd happen how it did, but fine. This year I think we win 8.
Nice.
I think Matt Rule takes us bowling, which is all I want. We haven't been to a bowl game in
I know.
what, 6 years?
You ever imagine a time when Nebraska wouldn't make a bowl game? I'm like, this is ridiculous.
The fact that KU's been going to bowl games and Nebraska has. Yeah, it's crazy.
Tough.
I remember when we used to have season tickets to KU football games, and we had like 20 seats at the 50-yard line, and they were like free. They're like, please, like take them, like come to the game, like just go.
Fill the seats.
Yes, fill the seats. And now it's totally different. With what they're doing over at David Booth Memorial, redoing that whole stadium, which will be awesome for Lawrence and for KU, and Nebraska redoing their stadium. It's a lot of exciting things happening.
Treasure Advertising produces this and puts together this podcast for us. So they come up with something a little bit of fun. So we're going to have some fun, put you under pressure a little bit.
All right, let's do it.
Some KC quick fire questions.
Okay.
We'll have a
like
little
trivia or just...
Yeah, stuff like the first one. We'll just get it going, and we'll see what happens.
Right.
Just have a little fun. Favorite barbecue in KC?
Ooh, that's tough. I'm going to go Q39. I was at Jack Stacks yesterday, but I'm going to go Q39. It's like a modern take on it. I like that.
That would have been mine. You're right.
The Z-Man's pretty good, though. Like, don't get me wrong. The Z-Man's gas.
Q39 is at a little bit upscale. So
yeah, it's a little nicer.
A little different.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Sure. If you could have coffee with one famous person, who would it be? That's a nice one.
That's a really good one. I'd love to sit down with Roy McIlroy and ask him how he's been dealing with the being so close but yet so far, and how he overcomes those things. I'd love to talk to him about that, because it's inspiring, the fact that he's always in the top 5 in a major, but he still can't figure out how to get over that hump. And at what point, a lot of people just give up and be like, all right, screw this. He's obviously made enough money in his career, but the battle to just keep coming back and keep fighting, because there's going to be ups and downs, I know, with what I'm doing and life and all of that. And I think it's a true testament to him and speaks volume to his character.
Well, sidebar, right? Sports are a good parallel to business and work.
Yeah.
And what to do with it. You got failure, and so yeah, how do you deal with it?
Yeah.
You're punched in the face, got to get back up.
If it was a dead person, though, I'd go Sam Zell. I'd love to.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good one. Funny story. All my children live in Florida, and I'm swinging with my grandson. And Rory, this is after the Masters last 2 years ago when he got eliminated so quickly.
Yep.
And here he comes walking up with his daughter and is swinging right next to me and my grandson. Nice guy, but I'm thinking pretty humble, right? Here we are. I'm sure he was really upset about not making the Masters and continuing on, and here he is swinging with his daughter. So I thought that was a pretty good testament of who he is.
Yep.
All right, what was one thing that your parents always said to you growing up that impacted you?
Oh, great quote from my dad. He goes, "Life's not designed to be fair. It's designed to reward others who work their hardest to achieve their goals."
Awesome, I love that.
Yeah, it's a great quote.
That is perfect. If you could see any brand live in their prime, if you could see any band live in their prime, who would it be?
I really want to go. January 25th is Aerosmith is coming to Kansas City. I want to go see them. I'd probably go Aerosmith to see Steven Tyler in his prime. I think that'd be pretty cool. I'm going to Blink 182 next week, so that'll be fun as well. But big Aerosmith guy. I'm an old soul. Motley Crue. The whole 9 yards.
Yeah, old enough to have seen Aerosmith in their prime. So yes, that's probably a pretty good choice.
Oh yeah.
Worst real estate project ever done in KC? Ooh.
Oh God, that sounds like a defamation case waiting to happen.
Right? Yeah, you might want to leave that alone.
The issue is I know the answer, and I could talk about it forever, but I don't know if I want to answer that.
Yeah, not comfortable. All right, favorite animal?
Duck, definitely.
Duck. How come?
I don't know. I just love ducks.
All
Like
right.
how they're always like, they look so calm and nimble on the water,
Yeah.
but they're working really hard behind the scenes.
True.
I like that.
True.
If you ever seen a duck swim, like if you like the 3D view or whatever, they're chugging along. They're
Much
going
like
crazy.
your thoughts in your head. They're
Yes.
going 90
Oh,
miles
this
an hour
thing.
in water. Yeah.
Yeah, this brain does not turn off. I mean, the 80 milligrams of Vyvanse I take every day to not slow this brain down. It
Nice.
tries to focus it, but it's I'm like the Energizer Bunny. It's always going.
Well, hopefully at night when you kick back and relax, you're able to shut it. Sometimes I'm not, so
No,
hopefully
it doesn't
you're
shut
able
off.
to, yeah.
No, no
It's
chance.
tough.
No. One thing I love though is I have really, really vivid dreams, which is good. They're always like, I wake up middle of the night and like, oh God, that's a good idea. And I write it down. Like I sleep probably like 6 hours a night. It's good 6 hours, but it is vivid dreams, like crazy vivid.
Well, some of my best resolutions to problems I've been having is when I've just put it away during the day, and then all of a sudden I wake up at 2, 3 in the morning. I'm like, oh, that's how I'm going to do it.
I can't tell you how many problems I've not necessarily problems, but ideas I've had specifically even about the Aladdin as I'm sleeping. I wake up like, why didn't I think of that during the day? It's like, well, it's because your brain was on during the day. Now it's off, kind of, but not
When it
really.
comes to you. Apple or Windows?
Apple, 1,000%. Yeah, I have a Mac, I have iPhone. Yeah,
Nice.
I get the idea of like, oh, Excel and all that, but no, I mean, Mac guy forever. Mac's easy.
What would you do during an earthquake?
What would I do during an earthquake, dude? I don't know. So it's funny. Like you have one of my partners, Ben. He's from LA, and he comes to Kansas City, and like he's freaked out about tornadoes, right? Like, and I'm like, I hear tornado sirens. I go to my garage and I sit out there, and I'm like, all right, let's see what's going on, right? Because a tornado doesn't happen like in a big city. I take out the grain of salt. Obviously, it has, but you get my point. Like I'm gonna go outside and be like, oh, tornado, big storm, all that. And it's the same thing for him. Like if I went to California and there was an earthquake, I'd freak out. He's like, yeah, it's normal. I'm like, what do you mean the ground's shaking? Like that would be terrifying. I remember I was in Tulsa once when there was an earthquake. It was just weird. It was like everything started moving and stuff. I don't know. I mean, what are you supposed to do during an earthquake? Like
Yeah, I
something
don't know. I've
happens.
never been in one, but you're right. You get kind of a cavalier about
Like at least a
that
tornado. Tornado, it's like go to your basement and like pray. Like an earthquake, if you're like on the line or whatever. I mean, I don't know.
Well, most don't even do that during a tornado. Most go out on their deck and film the tornado.
Yeah,
Until it gets-
100%.
All right. Do you believe there are more wheels or doors? Do you believe there are more wheels?
Oh my gosh. Okay, 1,000%. Like 1,000% doors.
Yeah.
Think about it. People like the main argument is people are like, oh, there's a lot of cars out there. Okay, well, what do cars also have? Doors. Yeah. They do. There's door. How many doors are in this building? How many wheels are on this building?
Good call.
You know, it's 1,000% doors. Especially if you count like cabinets and all that. Like if you depending on how you define a door, but I would argue a cabinet's a door, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean doors
Absolutely.
without a doubt.
Nice question. Do you think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl?
I think, and this is a hot take, I think we 4-peat, and then we take maybe 2 years off, 3 years off. Andy retires, Kelsey retires, and then Mahomes goes on another run. I think Mahomes finishes his career with 8.
Wow, that'd be nice.
Yeah. I think we 4-peat.
Well, he's phenomenal.
He's
Just
unbelievable.
So much fun to watch.
I think we 4-peat.
What's one thing you think KC could change to make the largest economical impact of the city?
I want it to happen. It's not going to happen for 30 years, but a high-speed rail from the airport. It would. I mean, every other large metropolitan city has something like that, and Kansas City right now, if you want to take the only public transit to get to and from the airport, you have Uber, your own car, or you have a bus that is 2 hours because you have 50 stops along the way. That's sad. That's what we have.
I know it was spoken of in the past. Was there not a link that was going to go between Kansas City and St. Louis?
I don't know about that. I mean, I don't really keep track of St. Louis.
I don't know what that would do for us here, but
yeah, I'm not a big St. Louis guy, but no, that would be huge. That would transform Kansas City and take it up a notch. I just don't think it's going to happen for a long time.
Sam, this is an interesting question, huh? If you had to be a door or a blade of grass, which would it be?
Okay, where's the blade of grass and where's the door?
I mean, I don't like the idea of being a blade of grass because I'm going to probably get mowed at some point.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Just where am I? Like, am I like the Flint Hills?
Well, you get to pick, yeah.
Blade of grass or a door? I don't know. Like, maybe a door, just because like at least someone like acknowledges me and like at least like touches me, hopefully like once a day. Like, hey, open your door. I don't know. Blade of grass, like especially depending where you're at, like you're just kind of there. A door, you're there too. Don't get me wrong, but like I don't know, probably a door. Keep the theme of the doors.
Sure. What's the most important, or what's the most underrated part of KC?
Oh my, that's a really, really, really tough one. Most underrated part of Kansas City, the food and cocktail scene, I think is extremely slept on. You know, from being able to just go out in the town, in the crossroads, downtown, all that. I mean, there's so many different options down there. Farina I frequent, is awesome. I think one thing Kansas City's missing is more rooftop bars. But I think the cocktail and restaurant scene in Kansas City is slept on as a whole. Especially a lot of those not being like chains. I mean, it's a lot of local players and all of that. The part that I love about Kansas City the most, outside of it being, I think, one of the best places in the world to raise a family, is the sense of community everywhere you go. It's so connected. Everybody knows everybody. It's a big but small city. It's fun. It's a good time, whether you're 23, 24, or you're 45. There's always something for you to do. I think my other favorite part about Kansas City that I would argue no city has like Kansas City is there's so many different pockets of Kansas City. No matter where you are, there's always a different vibe. Whether you're in Brookside, or you go to the South Plaza, or the Crossroads, or West Bottoms, or the Riverfront, or North Kansas City, or the suburbs in Johnson County, all of those are very, very different in terms of a vibe, the people, etc. And you can pick and choose what you want to do and where you want to go on any night. And I love that. I mean, I don't have one spot that I always go to. I love trying new places and all that, but I always see myself going, I mean, all those different places, and they're all just so different. I mean, when I first moved back down to Kansas City, I lived in Waldo. Love Waldo. Waldo's awesome. Very sense of community, small, like basically like small town vibes. But then I'd always go to Brookside too, and that's more like upscale, like not hoity-toity by any means, but you get the point. More upscale versus the Plaza. Obviously, it's not what it was 10 years ago, but I'm pretty bullish that HP Village Partners can figure out how to bring that back. The Crossroads, I mean, what it is now is definitely not what it was 10 years ago. And then downtown is just exploding. I mean, there's so much going on downtown.
Well, as a new resident of this area, I love exploring all those little pockets. Everybody's so prideful and passionate of the area. The food scene is great. And I'm like, I stay away from chains.
Yes.
Try to hit those little pockets.
100%.
Mom and pop shops, the farm to table stuff.
Yes.
Excellent stuff.
There's so many spots like that. Like, have you been to El Pollo Rey yet?
I don't.
You got to go there.
All right.
They serve one thing, and it's chicken. It is, you get a half chicken or a whole chicken. It's in KCK. There's probably 10 to 15 bullet holes in the windows, but it is good. It is really good. Highly recommend it.
The latest place I found was Clay and Fire.
Yep, that's really good.
Gosh, that was so good.
Really good.
And what a cool little restaurant with just being an old house.
Yep. Clay and Fire is really good. West Side Local's awesome. That's right over by there.
Yeah.
Like I said, I love Farina. I think that's one of the nice restaurants in Kansas City. I mean, Farina, Plate, Story, or it's across the street from Story. El Providence, or Cafe Trio. Those are all great spots. Like I said, but all those spots I just mentioned, all different area, all different, next to the woods, different vibe, depending on what you want. It's crazy.
Yeah, and then you add the entertainment that Casey offers.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's great. All right, last one. What do you think was the most controversial political decision of all time? Well, that's a tough question.
The most controversial political decision of all time. I don't know. I mean, there's been a lot of really bad decisions over the past 200 plus years.
Yeah, that's a tough one to nail down. We'll leave that for the next one and let you think about that.
If it comes to me, I'll let you know.
It will at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'll be dreaming of like, what is it? Oh, that was bad. Yeah, I don't know.
Real quick, back to your newsletter. Do you want to plug how people can subscribe to that?
Yeah, we'll put a link into the podcast forever, but it's the Molzer Development newsletter. I don't flood people with tons of different emails. I don't do it daily. It's like, I said monthly, but it's more like every 2.5 to 3 weeks. Sure. It dives into all things Kansas City, development, what I'm looking at, what we're seeing, progress on the Aladdin, things like that. Memes. I have to post memes on there, make people laugh. Because again, I'm not a traditional developer. I want to embrace that though. So the herding cat memes, what goes on in the day to day, from the fun, the good, bad, the ugly. But yeah, I love writing them because I love writing. I love being able to just share a story. And I obviously love Kansas City, so being able to talk about that, and the more people that you're on the newsletter or get to see it and everything like that, and more exposure I get, I think the more people that will see Kansas City as a great place to invest, but also a better place to live.
Well, I enjoy the read, so I'm looking forward to it. I subscribed yesterday.
Nice.
And, enjoy the read, so I'm looking forward to what you do with the Aladdin. Are you posting progress pictures as you go along?
So once we start construction, which ideally is in soon and defined soon, TBD. But once that happens, yes, it'll be. I mean, I'm planning on basically like vlogging the whole thing in a sense of like walkthroughs of here's what's going on today, blah blah blah. It's going to be a long project and a long process, but I want everyone to see everything that's going on there, what we're retaining, everything like that. There'll definitely be more news coming, ideally in the next few months, about that and what the full scope of everything is. But we're really excited.
Is there space below or on the main floor for any retail or restaurants or?
There will be a top floor bar.
Nice.
I can share that. It will be pretty cool.
That's fun.
It'll be pretty cool.
So rooftop or just top floor?
Top floor. I don't want to talk about it. We have a pitched roof, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
It's a very nice roof. It is structurally awesome, and it is never leaked or anything like that. Knock on wood. But no rooftop. If for some reason someone wants to donate a couple million and rip off a roof and make a rooftop bar, let me know. But yeah, no rooftop. But it will be a top floor bar. It'll be pretty sweet.
And that will be for anybody.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well,
That is the plan.
I'm anxious to see how this all develops.
I am too. Yeah, we're excited. Like I said, a long road ahead. But it's gonna be a fun, highly rewarding project, not only for the residents but for Kansas City as a whole. I mean, taking a building that's been vacant and blighted for 4 years, breathe a new life into it, bring back the historical nature of that building, preserve the history, and having it being right across from Barney Alice Plaza, where that acts as an activation and green space for our residents and everybody else that lives, works, and plays downtown. It's huge. So we're really excited.
Well, thank you for doing that, because I just hate it when old buildings are either destroyed or abandoned and
Agreed.
beyond.
Agreed. There are still a few left downtown Kansas City that someone needs to make work, and I'll try my best to figure out how to do all of them. But some are just too far gone, and that's sad. But the Aladdin is not one of them. So we're really excited to have good bones and have a project like this.
Last question, and I like to close on this because I ask it of myself often. What do you learn from the things you failed at?
What do I learn from things I failed at? There's hurdles and there's problems, and like I said, with everything that you do, it's just like I said, like with Roy McElroy, get up in the morning and you figure it out. Every day is a new day. I mean, we're blessed to be on this planet. I mean, what are the odds that we're all in the room together all at the same time? I mean, thinking about that from a galaxy standpoint, don't want to get too philosophical and everything, but the odds that we're all here together doing something is, I mean, a blessing in and of itself. There's going to be problems. There's going to be things that suck, but there's really nothing that bad that can happen. Everyone deals with death. There's only one thing in life that we're born with, and that is at some point you're going to die, unless there's some magic potion out there that we don't know about. But just waking up the next day and saying, all right, well, that sucked. Let's live to fight another day and let's figure it out. Yeah. I've dealt with a plethora of different problems and situations and things and trauma and all of that in my life. And it is just wake up and you figure it out. I think having a passion and having a strong support system behind you is super important. And if you don't, DM me. I'm always open to chat. But yeah, I mean, having people around you that support you, care about you, and want to see you succeed is something that you cannot have enough of it.
Yeah, it's like you said, it takes a village.
It does take a village, a very, very large village, sometimes a city.
Yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of this.
This was awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you, Sam. Excited to work with Sam, hopefully on the Aladdin and getting some content out for that. And
yeah, they do a great job. So I would like to shout out our company, CKF, sponsoring this podcast. Really appreciate being able to do this and be a part of this city. It's been fun to work in this market and slowly build our business here. So
100%.
Yeah, thanks again.
No, this was awesome. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, and we're excited to build.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, guys.